Gals and ghouls, we are back at Stitchin with Samantha with a bat tutorial. This is my staple for Halloween stitching.
Look at it's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
I usually stitch bats on clothing during the Halloween season, but today I'm going to show you on a piece of fabric and a hoop. This is a little bat pattern from my Etsy shop. I have so many bat designs in my shop, so I'm really excited to do this tutorial because you can use it on any of those designs. You can peel this design off like a sticker and it sticks on your fabric or your piece of clothing, and then after you stitch you can wash it off with water. Next, you're going to need some embroidery thread. I am using this DMC black embroidery thread, and I'm going to take about an arm's length and then I'm going to cut it. For clothing, I generally recommend that you split the thread into 3 strands, so that's what I'm doing here. Now we are going to take our embroidery thread and we are going to put it through the eye of our needle. Pinch the thread in between your fingers and pull it through the eye of the needle so that it hangs down about 3/4 of the way, and then on the longer end of our thread we are going to tie a knot. To tie a knot, I like to take the thread and wrap it around my finger and then pull it tight so that the knot is at the very end of the thread. You can tie a knot like normal, I just try to get it as close to the bottom as possible. Now that we're set up, we're ready to start stitching our bat. You can bring your needle up at any point in the bat, but this is where I like to start, and I will go ahead and do the right wing. So we're going to be doing back stitches for the outline, so you're going to bring your needle up and then back down about 1/4 of a centimeter. Pull your thread so that it's tight, and then we're going to come up ahead about 1/4 of a centimeter again. Bring your needle and thread all the way up, and then we're going to bring our needle back down at the exact same point that our last stitch ended. This is why it's called back stitch, because you go back to your previous stitch. So we're going to repeat this process, bringing our needle up about 1/4 of a centimeter and then back down at the end of our previous stitch. I'm going to show you one more time here, and then I'm going to show you how you change directions. To change directions, you're going to do your last back stitch, and then you're simply going to bring your needle up 1/4 of the way on the line that you want to do next. And then you're going to do the same thing, bring your needle back down at the end of the previous stitch. And this is how you change directions. So we're going to do that along a lot of the points of the bat, so that's an important thing to note. After you've done that, you're going to keep doing your back stitches along this line, and then I'm going to show you again once we get to the next point. So once again, we're going to do our last back stitch, and then to switch directions, we're going to go to the new line, and we're going to come up about 1/4 of a centimeter up, and then we're going to bring our needle back down at the end of our last stitch. And then you're going to pull tight, and then you can continue doing back stitches on your new line. And that's basically it for the outline. So you're going to continue doing back stitches for the entirety of the outline of the bat, and I'm going to come back and show you how to do the ears. When you get to the ears of the bat, we're going to place our last back stitch, and then we're going to switch directions and do it basically like you did before. Come up about 1/4 of a centimeter, and then you're going to come back to your previous stitch. And then for each side of the ear, we're going to do 2 stitches. And then for the middle of the ear, we're going to do the exact same thing. When we get to the middle, we're going to make 2 small back stitches, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side until our outline is complete. Once our outline is complete, we're going to go in the middle of our bat, and we're going to use long and short stitches to fill up the entirety of the bat. First, we're going to bring our needle up at the bottom tip of the bat, and then we're going to bring our needle back down about 1/2 a centimeter. And then next, we're going to make a little bit of a shorter stitch to the right of it, bringing our needle up and then back down. And then we're going to keep doing this process, making stitches that are longer and shorter than each other. And so now we're going to bring our needle up a little bit above, and I'm going to bring my needle back down in the middle of those 2 stitches. Long and short stitch can look a little bit random, and that's because it is. Honestly, I love this stitch because it's just kind of random. You make long and short stitches beside each other and it just fills in the space, and it's just really versatile. So we're going to keep doing stitches of different lengths all around each other. Be careful not to make your stitches too long or taking up the entirety of the bat, because when you're stitching on clothing, longer stitches can become loose because the clothing is not as stretched out as a canvas. So we're going to go ahead and fill in the entire bat, making those long and short stitches, and honestly just have fun with this part. And then once we get closer to the end, we are going to do our final stitches, and then you're going to make sure that there's no fabric that you can still see. And if there is fabric you can see, you're going to just keep putting stitches over that until everything is completely filled in. And that is my favorite way to stitch a bat. Now I'm going to show you how to tie off your thread at the end. If you run out of thread while stitching your bat, you can also do this process and then start stitching again. I'm going to go ahead and take my fabric out of the hoop and show you how I tie off clothing, because that is generally how people use my patterns. So to tie off, I'm going to go ahead and take my needle underneath my previous stitches, and then I'm going to pull the thread taut. And then I'm going to do this a second time, bringing my needle underneath the stitches. And then this time, I'm not going to pull it completely tight, but I'm going to bring my needle through the little loop and then pull tight, and this is going to make a knot. So we're going to do this a second time, bring your needle underneath your previous stitches, and then you're going to do it a second time, and then pull your needle through the little loop. And then we're going to pull tight, making a second knot. This just makes sure that everything is completely secure, and then we're going to bring our needle back under the stitches one more time so that your knot lays flat on the back. This is my favorite method. It's really secure, but it also doesn't have a huge knot hanging off of the back that's not secure. So there you have it. We have stitched a bat. So now you can go ahead and wash off your pattern with soap and water if you're using one of my water-soluble patterns. I have tutorials for that on my YouTube and most of my videos, but for now we're going to leave it there. I hope you enjoy your spooky stitching.